Hello, and welcome to Understanding Your Child with Sophie Sijenyi. Today's episode was inspired by something that went viral on my LinkedIn page. A teacher told a child to write a poem in 5 lines. The child wrote poem. The child used the 5 lines. He got 0 out of 5, and the teacher asked him to bring his parent. Another parent shared that their grade 1 child was asked, I am a child of A, my mother, and B, God. In his wisdom, he chose my mother, and he got it wrong. Now, parents, let me ask you something. Did these 2 children fail, or did we fail to understand how children think? Today, we are talking about developmental stages and why ignoring them is quite damaging to our children. So, how children think, concrete versus abstract thinking. I want you to understand something very important. Children are not small adults. In early primary years, especially age 5 to 8, children operate largely in concrete thinking. Concrete thinking means they interpret language literally. They understand what they can see. They respond to what is tangible and real. So when you say, write a poem in 5 lines, a developing brain hears exactly that. 5 lines, not 5 sentences, not a 5-line stanza. So 5 lines. When you ask, I am a child of, a 6-year-old thinks biologically, who gave birth to me? Definitely it's my mother. So that is logical thinking. That is developmentally appropriate. That is not disrespectful. We cannot punish a brain for developing normally. So what happens when we shame literal thinking? When a child gives an answer that makes sense to them and we mark it wrong without exploring their thinking, 3 dangerous things will happen to this child. They will stop trusting their reasoning. They become afraid to think differently. They learn that compliance is safer than creativity. Over time, this creates adults who fear being wrong. Adults who avoid critical thinking. Adults who depend on memorization instead of understanding. And then we wonder why innovation is low. Sometimes the issue is not intelligence. It is the environment where we are bringing up our children. So what parents are supposed to do instead, if this ever happens to you, here is my advice for you. First, validate your child. Tell me how you understand the question. Let me explain their thinking. Second, affirm their reasoning. Understand why you answered that way. Third, teach flexibility without destroying their confidence. So sometimes teachers are looking for a different kind of answer. Let's learn how to understand both. So do not attack the teacher in front of your child, but do protect your child's confidence, as confidence is more fragile than what we think. Now, this is a gentle word to the educators or the teachers. Teaching is not easy, and I'm one of them. But developmental awareness is not an option. Before marking something wrong, ask yourself, was my instruction developmentally clear? Did I define my expectations well? Am I assessing knowledge or obedience? Education should build thinkers, not silence them. So let's look at the bigger picture. I'd like to leave you with this. What if the child who wrote the word poem was not being silly, but was demonstrating divergent thinking? And what if that thinking, nurtured properly, is what the world desperately needs? Sometimes what looks like wrong is undeveloped brilliance. If this episode resonated well with you, share it with a parent or a teacher. Let's start having honest conversation about how children think. This is Understanding Your Child with Sophie Sijenyi. And remember, before you correct a child, understand the brain you are shaping. See you in my next episode. My name is Sophie Sijenyi, a child psychologist, a teacher, and a trainer. Thank you.